in this part of our discussion we will be talking about the levels of organization. Now we can see the hierarchy of an ecosystem. So if we consider this is a whole ecosystem, so if we think about ecosystem, the ecosystem can be made up with the overall universe. The whole universe will be will be put it inside one ecosystem. But now let us consider about the planetary parts, or consider about the solar system. So if we consider the solar system and our earth is a part of that system, then how can we define the ecosystem? Normally, to describe the ecosystem in the level of biological science, we do not need to enter into this field of galaxies and field of this whole universe. So we need to talk about our earth as an ecosystem. So in this case we are talking about the earth as the highest organization, or highest level organization of an ecosystem. So not only the earth, the air which is surrounding the earth, and all these things together, we are talking about the highest level of organization for our ecosystem of study in this case. But again, ecosystem is not limited to this level. Ecosystem is can have a huge part. That means whole universe is a part of it. Now if we begin this earth as the highest level, then how can we divide from here? Now let me begin from at the individual level, from the individual or the smallest level of an ecosystem. Then we go towards the biggest level, which is the earth, which is the biosphere we have talked about. Biosphere means not only the earth, that means earth is consisting of the lithosphere, that means the soil and all these things, and air, which is the what we call the aerosphere, or this. Okay, now let's begin from the lowest level, which is here is the individual. So what do you mean by individual? Individual can be organic matter, like here you can see a bison. Individual can also be a tree. Individual can be an inorganic matter. So whatever we are thinking as an individual, we start with an individual. Now for example, here we start with this bison, and the second part, in the second higher organization, we have a population of this individual. So what do we mean by a population? It simply means the arrangement of many individuals. So many individuals are together making this population. Okay, so if you take a tree, then the population will be the arrangement of all those trees together. Now here we have a population of bisons. Now if we are having the population of bison, now we are having the population of tiger, we are having the population of a coconut tree, we are having the population of grasses, and we attach all those biotic and abiotic things together. So we are including plant population, we are including animal population in a particular area, in a particular region, that will become a community. Now as you can see in this picture, so we are not only talking about one particular species, as you can see in the population. So population is made up with only one type of species, as we can see. But the community is a combination, is a combined result of many different types of populations interacting with each other. For example, here we are looking at the bisons, we are looking at here monkey, we have owl, we have different varieties of insects, we have trees, we have some rocks, and all these things together, the biotic and abiotic factors together to interact as a community. So lots of populations, not only one individual of each group. So we have a population of monkey, we have a population of bison, a population of owl, and all these things together to make this community. Now we arrange so many communities, we arrange many and many communities together to make this ecosystem. Okay, so when we make more and more communities like this, so we have a community of for example of our Sundarban region, and community of Yellowstone Park. So all these things together, then finally we are having an ecosystem. So ecosystem is the combination of communities. So it's a larger organization, it contains many and many community, many and many life community, many and many community which are consisting of both life and abiotic factors, which are non-living things. Now finally we are having this ecosystem, and inside the ecosystem we are having air, we are having soil, we are having water, we are having all those living and non-living creature. Now arrange these ecosystems together, we get the biome. So if we arrange the ecosystem at a region where we have suppose a mount where we have very very cold region, then we have something like tundra. Now if we attach all those regions which are really hot in environment, we have a separate types of community of animals and plants are growing. Then you have another set of biome. So example is it can be a desert, so something like that. So we have a desert, we can have very very cold situations, we can have savanna and all these things. So these are called the biomes. So that means a same type of environment which is consisting of a particular special types of creatures as a part of their community and as a part of the population. So that's how we make biomes. Now if we look for here, we have the tundra, we have desert, different types of desert, we have very cold situations, we have savanna. So these are a part of the biomes we are going to talk about. And finally, if we arrange these biomes together, then we end up with a production of this biosphere. So the biosphere means the whole earth, including the air, including the hydrosphere and also the lithosphere and all these things together. Now to memorize all these parts, I must tell you to memorize Bobekpo. So you BECP, this is the organism. So O, so Bobekpo or Bobekpi, whatever you can say, BECPO or BBCPI. Okay, so this is the organization, how you can memorize this. Okay, now let us move down and discuss about one at a time. So if we are talking about the population, as we have told before, the population includes all the members of a specific species in a given area. It's all the member of a species in a given area. So if you consider, this is a part, if you consider here, as you can see in this picture, this is the region, this pink color is the region. Now inside the region we are having many and many different types of organisms in a particular type of species. If we think about a particular species, if we pick up a particular species, then if we count the all members of that species in this particular region, we call them a population of that species inside this region. Now if we combine more and more population of different species, like here we have a tree species, then we can also have an insect species here, we can also have animal and mammal species here. So we combine all the species together, and not only combine the species only, but also their interactions, because if we have to put different species together, different populations together, they must interact with each other for survival. Okay, so that's why all the single thing that we can see in this earth, that we are seeing in this earth, is linked with each other. So if we are killing an insect today, that is in turn something must that it in turn have some effect on our ecosystem, or that means that definitely has some effect on us. So if we are killing a tiger, that will create some dangerous effect, dangerous disaster for our human beings. So that's why all of these individual creatures that we are seeing now are connected. Not only the individual living creature, but also the individual thing that are non-living. So if we harvest the water in many ways without being judgmental, and that will create trouble. If we harvest the soil, if we pollute the soil, that will again create trouble. So each of these segments are working with each other, they are interacting with each other, and that is the interaction which makes this ecosystem possible, or ecology possible. Okay, now if we combine this population, we make this community. Now after the community, as you can see here, many communities will interact together to finally make this ecosystem, as we can look through here. So population is all a member of a species in a given area. Now here is a community, all of the populations in a given area. Suppose in this picture, as you can see in this green region, there are lots of communities like this purple color circle. So you have various populations of trees, populations of insects, population of land fishes, population of birds, and all these things together. And I'm just saying population of birds, that means the whole lot population of different bird species. Okay, so all the species that are present there to finally have a community. Okay, now what is ecosystem? Right after community, if we engage all those communities together, we'll get something called ecosystem. So for example, in this case, in this picture, as you can see, we're combining these flowers, populations, we are combining the community of all these things together, like these flowers, like this grasshopper, this what you call salamander like thing, and all these things together, or lizard like thing. Now all these things together to finally make what is called ecosystem. Now ecosystem is not only made up with the bio biotic factor. Ecosystem are made up with two factors. One is biotic, which means it is made up with the living creatures or living factors, and another factor is abiotic, that means the physical environment or the physical part or non-living part. For example, in this picture, in this diagram, as you can see, not only the presence of this flower, this grasshopper, this insect, and this lizard are important, but also the presence of sun is really important and probably the most important part. The presence of soil is another important thing. The presence of water is another important thing. So in this ecosystem will be incomplete without sun, without the presence of soil, water, and the different thing regarding these matters. So not only this ecosystem is based on the presence of all these creatures, but also the presence of light, temperature, pH of the soil, pH of the water, and the water condition, all these things together. So we have to count all these things together to finally make what is called the ecosystem. Okay, now if we move on here, we can we can see. So not only we have to have these things together, that means the biotic and abiotic factors together. So until they are interacting, we cannot call it the ecosystem. So they have to interact with each other. So whatever we are having, whether we are having the abiotic or biotic factors together, they have to interact. For example, in this case, as we can see, energy is coming from the sun, and tree is doing the photosynthesis. In turn, the energy is transferred from this tree to the first or primary consumers, which are insects in this case. Then after eating these primary consumers, this energy is being transferred from them into the carnivores or the secondary consumers. Here it is a lizard like creature. Then again the energy from there is transferred by the decomposers after the death of these secondary consumers, but the amount of energy is getting smaller as we are traveling from the primary consumer, as we are traveling for the producers towards these secondary consumers. And each of these situations, as we can see, you can look for the nutrients travel. So nutrient can also be traveled from one place to another place from this direction, and all of this is, you can see, is the only one single directional flow. We'll talk in a detail about this later, but just mention this fact that this energy flow or the nutrition flow always is a single direction process. Okay, now if we talk about the biomes, as we know, the biomes are defined as the world's major communities. So if you think about the major communities are placed together, for example, they are placed together in the place of savanna. There are lots of different communities are there. They are interacting with each other, and not only the communities only, but the abiotic factors, the pH there, the type of plant, and the soil nature, and all these things interacting with each other to make a community stand out. So this community bunch will be called the biome. So this savanna is a type of biome classified according to the predominant vegetation and characterized by the adaptations of organisms to the particular environment. This is the definition provided by Campbell and Rees. Now let us move on to here. Now as you can see in this picture, this is a part of a biome. Now how you can see the structure of biome. Now if we see different regions like the desert, so this yellow color region is desert. As you can see, a special type of communities, a bunch of particular type of communities are placing these regions, and also these regions of the world. So these regions, these yellow colored regions of the world, we can find a typical type of population of animals and population of plants too, and also different amount of environmental situations like the pH of the soil, the soil type, the pH of water, the temperature the temperature of air, and also the climate in these particular places will remain the same. And as a result of that, we can have a particular type of distribution of community or a bunch of community distribution in these regions, and all these distributions remains almost similar. We engage them inside a particular biome, in this case which is called the desert. Okay, now if we think all the regions of this, especially in the part of this Africa, as you can see, most of the part of it is a part this orange color. This is not actually orange, this is light orange color, as you can see, is a part of the savanna. In the same region, if we look at these very green regions. You can find more and more trees. They are really long, they are heavy, and all this, these are called the tropical forest regions. And we can find, if we study, we can find a particular type of animals are placed on those tropical forests. So not only the animals, but the climate remains the same, the temperature and everything, like the soil pH and soil color and the texture and all these things, the type of animals, their behavior and all these things almost similar. We can find not only in this South America, but we can also find it in Africa, we can find it in India. So all these regions are belonging to the tropical forest region. Okay, so that's how we can find the different parts of the different types of, actually different types of biomes. And the presence of different types of biomes are really important, and these biomes are keeping a border between themselves. So you can find when we are entering from one biome to another biome, we can feel the change, we can really feel the change, not only in the environment but also in the community, on the creatures, on the species. Okay, now finally talk about the biosphere. So if we talk about, this is the whole earth. So we are combining all the biomes together, like in this picture, as you can see, we are combining all the various types of biomes. In this picture it is shown the 9 types of biomes. So we are combining all the biomes together, and after combining them, we finally end up with the earth. And this earth is not only composed of consisting of this lithosphere. It is consisting of lithosphere, hydrosphere, which means the water, and ecosphere, which is the part of the whole ecosystem, and as well as the atmosphere, which is the air. So involving all these different hemispheres, we are finally making the biosphere. So all these parts are being needed, because ecosphere cannot stand without hydrosphere or atmosphere. As we know that to support ecosystem, we need air and water, the continuous supply of fresh air and water. And we also need soil for decomposition, and we also need soil for growing up for plants and all these things, for the nutrition purposes. Okay, so that's why, except for any components in this sphere, this biosphere will fall. Okay, so that's why the maintenance of all these things is really important. And as we can see in all this picture, the basic of my discussion, or the actual take home message from this discussion will be, is that all of these parts are linked with each other. So everything is connected. If we change one thing, it will affect it will reflect the action onto other. Okay, the same thing as I have told before, the organization, as we have seen, the biosphere, the part of earth, and the ecosystem, which is the community, and then we divide the community, we'll have so because if we divide the ecosystem, we'll have the community. So inside the ecosystem, we have hawk, snake, bison, dog, grass, all this. If we divide this ecosystem, we'll finally make the community of hawk, community of snake, bison, community of dog, and community of grass. Now if we take if we divide this community, and if we take only one type of population, then we find the population of bison, which is called bison herd. Now we'll take one individual from this population, we call the organism or individual, which is a bison. Now if we take the bison, or that means which is an organism, which is a multicellular organism. If we go inside the cell, if we go inside the body of this organism and look for what this organism is actually made up with, we can find it is made up with different types of organs, in the different types of group of cells, which are called organs or organ systems, like brain, like nervous system, like tissue systems, and all these systems together. Now if we divide these particular organs, like brain, like nervous system, and all these tissues, then you finally get cells. So for example, here if we divide this organ, which is brain, then you can find it is made up with nerves, which is called the nerve cells or neurons. So here we have the cellular level. Now if we divide the cellular level, if we finally further zoom inside this cell of nerve, then you can find it is made up with some of the very tiny molecules, like DNA, which is the building block, which is the blueprint of life, which is carrying information from one generation to another generation. It is built up with water, it is built up with other molecules like carbohydrates, like proteins, and all these things together. If we divide those protein, carbohydrates, all these things together, finally we will reach the molecular or the atomic level, the level of carbon, the nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, sulfur, phosphorus. So as we know, these are the part of the environment, the actual environmental situation. That means the environment which we can see, which we live on, is made up with this. So the atmosphere is made up with this kind of gases. The lithosphere contains all these things. So what we are seeing outside itself is we can find inside us. So only the difference is only between the arrangement of all those things. So we can find the same things like carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, sulfur, phosphorus in a rock, which is a hard solid structure, which is not which do not possess any kind of life, any type of life at all. But the same thing is present inside our cell. When inside present the phosphorus, nitrogen and all these things together, it makes something which is called DNA, which carries the information. It is a mass part of the information, which helps to carry the information from one part to another part, one generation to another generation. So this is not about the presence of different atoms, not about the presence of different types of molecules. It is about the arrangement of those molecules to do a particular job, and that's what we are talking about. So not only the placement, it's about the arrangement. It's not only the presence, it's about the arrangement. And what we are talking about in this case is that the arrangement defines what